Meantime, countries like Kenya are set to run out of COVID vaccine in just a few days. The health minister says African countries must now realise it's everyone for themselves. CNN's Larry Madowo has more now.
There are Kenyans who received the first dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine who will not have a second dose because Kenya does not have any more of it in a few days. There are also some who received that first shot of AstraZeneca that may be offered the single-dose Johnson & Johnson shot. With 100,000 vaccines left, by as soon as Friday, the country may be completely out of any more vaccine shots. The country is trying to bring in more vaccines from neighboring countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo that doesn't have the capacity to inoculate its citizens before those vaccines expire. But the big problem here, the Kenyan health minister has told me, is vaccine nationalism, which has exposed Africa's inability to have its own vaccines in a global pandemic. This is Mutahi Kagwe.
I think that vaccine nationalism is something that has cropped up across the world. As a continent, we must stop believing that there is anybody out there who is a good Samaritan, a biblical Samaritan, who is just about to come and help us. There's nothing like that. You know, this is a situation where we have seen very clearly it's everyone for himself or for herself and God for us all, clearly. And therefore, going into the future, the local production, local manufacturing of pharmaceutical commodities and products is an absolute must.
How bad is it for Kenya that the Serum Institute said on Tuesday that it will not resume vaccine shipments internationally until the end of the year?
We are not just waiting for these donations that are coming to Kenya. We are in discussions with the Johnson & Johnson facilities in South Africa for what we think is going to be the new supply chain rather than relying on AstraZeneca. Given what is happening in India, and given the difficulties that the Indian people are going through and the population of India, it is very unlikely that AstraZeneca is going to be the vaccine of choice for the African continent going forward. It is very likely that we are going to discuss and agree on Johnson & Johnson.
The African Union is now saying it has ordered 400 million shots of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and it expects 240 million of those to be available in Africa this year. But even if those were to come through, that is still a drop in the ocean for a continent of 1 billion people where only about 2% of people have been vaccinated so far. It will take some time until the majority of the adult population across the African continent is vaccinated. The continent is looking to COVAX, this World Health Organization initiative, to figure out how to fund the extra Johnson & Johnson shots. But the thinking across the continent is that it cannot rely on the Serum Institute of India, the largest vaccine manufacturer, because it has already said it will not be exporting vaccines internationally until the end of the year because of India's own COVID crisis. So across the continent, here in Nairobi, in many of the cities, there are people wondering when they will have that protection. In the meantime, there is the fear that the longer people remain unvaccinated, the virus will mutate, there might be new variants, and that will spread to the rest of the world. And so, as President Joe Biden has said, as COVAX has said, as many officials across the African continent have said, nobody is safe in any part of the world until everybody is safe, because this still might affect you regardless of where you live. Larry Madowo, CNN, Nairobi.